Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why? Stared at a familiar face and struggled for the name? Or opened the fridge and stood blank, wondering what you came for? Now, most people brush that off and say, oh, I'm just getting older. But what if I told you that's not just aging? What if I told you there are 5 everyday foods, yes, foods you likely have in your kitchen right now, that are silently rewiring your brain, inflaming your memory center, and fast-tracking the pathways that lead to Alzheimer's disease? And here's the most alarming part. These aren't junk foods. These are snacks, drinks, and healthy choices you've trusted for years, maybe even decades. As a neurologist with over 30 years of experience, I've seen this pattern too many times to ignore. Older adults who feel mostly fine, but who suddenly hit a wall, forgetfulness, fog, confusion, lost words, mood swings, and almost always the damage began years before, at the dinner table. You see, Alzheimer's doesn't start with memory loss. It starts silently, with inflammation, insulin resistance, and toxic chemical buildup that begins with what we eat. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through 5 specific foods that have now been scientifically linked to the acceleration of brain aging, the buildup of plaques, and the decline of memory. And these are foods that most Americans over 60 are still eating regularly. Without a second thought. But I want to be clear, this is not about fear. This is about power. Because once you know what's harming your brain, you can take back control. Stay with me to the end, because the one most dangerous food is probably in your pantry right now, and it's the most aggressively marketed to older adults. And if you're watching this and care about staying sharp, independent, and connected to your loved ones for the years to come, this could be the most important video you watch all year. Hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment with a 1 if you're ready to protect your brain, or a 0 if you think we're overreacting. Let's find out together. Now, let's begin with a snack that millions of seniors enjoy every weekend. A snack that's slowly poisoning your brain with every warm, buttery bite. Number 1, the snack that clouds your mind. Microwave popcorn. It seems like an innocent treat. A bag of microwave popcorn popping in the microwave while your favorite show plays in the background. For many older adults, it's a comforting ritual, something that feels familiar and safe. But here's the unsettling truth. That rich, buttery smell, it's not butter. It's a synthetic chemical called diacetyl used to mimic flavor. And this chemical doesn't stay in your mouth. It travels. Once inhaled or consumed, diacetyl can cross your brain's protective barrier, something we call the blood-brain barrier, and begin to interfere with the way your brain cells communicate. Studies suggest this exposure can increase inflammation in the brain and even contribute to the buildup of beta-amyloid plaques. These are the same sticky proteins found in the brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. They don't cause symptoms overnight, but they quietly block memory signals and reduce focus, often years before diagnosis. But that's not the only problem. Many microwave popcorn bags are lined with perfluorinated compounds, PFCs, industrial chemicals also found in non-stick cookware. They prevent grease from soaking through the bag, but inside the human body they linger. Especially as we age, our bodies become less efficient at filtering them out. And once these chemicals begin to accumulate, they create an environment of chronic inflammation, a slow, silent fuel for cognitive decline. I remember a patient named Harold, 73 years old, who started having what he called mental misfires. He'd lose track of conversations mid-sentence, miss appointments, forget simple words. He was active, alert, and healthy otherwise. But one detail stood out, his Sunday night habit of microwave popcorn, the buttery kind. Harold didn't have a stroke, he didn't have a brain tumor, but what he did have was a high concentration of environmental toxins in his system. Things his younger body once handled easily, but now couldn't. The good news? There's a better way. Air-popped popcorn, no chemicals, no hidden toxins, just clean, satisfying crunch. Add a little olive oil or turmeric for flavor, and you're not just eating smarter. You're protecting your brain. In this stage of life, every bite matters. It either nourishes your future or chips away at it. Now let's talk about something even more deceptive. A drink marketed as healthy, but which may be training your brain to fail. Number 2, the drink that tricks your brain, diet soft drinks. For decades, diet soft drinks have been promoted as the smart choice. 0 calories, no sugar, a guilt-free way to enjoy a fizzy refreshment. But here's what they don't tell you. Most diet sodas contain artificial sweeteners, chemicals like aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin. These sweeteners may taste like sugar, but they don't act like sugar in your brain. They can confuse your brain's chemistry and disrupt the very signals that control memory, mood, and learning. You see, when your tongue detects sweetness, your brain expects sugar. It prepares for glucose, the fuel your brain needs to function. But when no real sugar arrives, your body reacts with confusion. This mismatch can trigger insulin resistance, inflammation, and even damage the connection between neurons. And for adults over 60, these changes don't just mean brain fog. They can mean real, measurable cognitive decline. In one recent study, seniors who drank just 1 diet soda per day were found to have nearly 3 times the risk of developing dementia compared to those who didn't. That's not speculation. That's data. But it doesn't stop there. Artificial sweeteners also disrupt your gut bacteria, the microbiome that talks directly to your brain through the gut-brain axis. When this balance is disturbed, it can lead to increased anxiety, poor focus, depression, and inflammation that creeps into the brain. I once treated a retired nurse named Lillian. She was 76, sharp-witted, and deeply caring. But over the past year, she'd started forgetting small things. She had switched from sugary drinks to diet sodas, thinking it would protect her health. What she didn't realize was that the chemical sweeteners she was consuming daily were quietly turning her brain against itself. Once she made the switch to infused water with lemon and mint and started drinking calming herbal teas, she began feeling clearer, calmer, and more like herself again. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about making smarter swaps that support your brain, not sabotage it. So, if you've got a few cans of diet soda in your fridge, consider this your invitation to make a change. Because every sip either feeds your brain or fools it. Next, let's talk about something you spread on your toast, melt into your veggies, or mix into your recipes. Something that pretends to be healthy, but is quietly choking the very arteries that feed your memory. Number 3, the fat that blocks your memories, margarine and hydrogenated oils. If you grew up in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, you probably remember the message clearly. Butter is bad, margarine is better. It was everywhere, TV ads, doctor's advice, health magazines, and many families made the switch, believing they were doing the right thing for their hearts and their waistlines. But here's the truth we now know. Margarine may be one of the worst things you can put on your plate, especially after age 60. We say, margarine and other processed spreads are often loaded with hydrogenated oils, better known as trans fats. These are artificially created fats that your body can't recognize, process, or eliminate efficiently. And when they build up, they do real harm. Trans fats don't just raise your cholesterol, they trigger widespread inflammation throughout your body, including in the delicate blood vessels that feed your brain. Over time, this inflammation can narrow your arteries, restrict blood flow, and make it harder for oxygen and nutrients to reach your memory center, particularly the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for learning and recalling information. In several major studies, people with the highest intake of trans fats were found to have lower cognitive scores, slower reaction times, and a significantly higher risk of Alzheimer's disease. But margarine isn't the only problem. These dangerous fats also lurk in non-dairy creamers, frozen pastries, store-bought pie crusts, certain crackers, and snack foods. You might not see trans fat listed on the label, but if you spot the words partially hydrogenated oil, that's the red flag. Let me share a quick story. I once met a retired school principal named George who used margarine daily on toast, on potatoes, in cooking. After experiencing increasing brain fog and mood swings, he made one simple change. He switched to real butter and extra virgin olive oil. Within months, he reported better focus, more energy, and more stable moods. Because here's the thing, your brain is made up of nearly 60% fat. It doesn't need fake fat. It needs clean, healthy, natural fats to function properly. So skip the plastic spreads. Embrace olive oil, avocado, and moderate amounts of real butter. Your brain will thank you. And now let's talk about something even more beloved. It's salty, smoky, and found in lunchboxes, breakfast plates, and backyard cookouts. But for your brain, it's a ticking time bomb. Number 4, the meat that starves your brain. Processed meats. Let's talk about something many of us grew up with. Ham sandwiches at the family picnic, bacon sizzling on Sunday morning, hot dogs at baseball games. These foods feel nostalgic, familiar, comforting. But there's a side to processed meats that we don't talk about enough, especially when it comes to brain health after 60. I want to tell you something that may surprise you. Processed meats like deli meats, sausages, hot dogs, bacon, and even some frozen dinners contain nitrates and nitrites. These are chemical preservatives used to keep meat fresh, enhance color, and extend shelf life. But inside your body, especially your aging body, these preservatives break down into compounds called nitrosamines. And nitrosamines are dangerous. Here's what we know. Nitrosamines can damage the lining of blood vessels, reduce oxygen flow to the brain, and trigger the buildup of harmful proteins like tau and beta amyloid, both heavily linked to Alzheimer's disease. Let me explain what this looks like inside your brain. Imagine your brain as a bustling city. Every cell is like a hard-working citizen. Processed meats bring in toxic smog that slowly clogs the streets, shuts down communication lines, and cuts off fuel. Over time, memory, decision-making, and emotional balance start to fail. Not all at once, but bit by bit, silently. I had a patient named Sylvia. She was 81, living alone, active, and independent. Her favorite meal was a ham sandwich, 2 slices of white bread, a few slices of deli meat, and a little mayo. She'd eat it almost every day. Over time, her daughter noticed subtle changes. Sylvia would forget the names of close friends. She'd lose track of time, misplace items in the refrigerator, and occasionally repeat stories within minutes. When we looked deeper, her diet, medications, blood work, it became clear. Her daily intake of processed meats was creating an internal environment of inflammation and oxygen deprivation. Her brain wasn't getting what it needed to function. It was being starved. We made changes: baked chicken, grilled salmon, plant-based proteins with brain-supporting herbs like turmeric and rosemary. Within months, her clarity improved. Her daughter cried, saying, "It's like I got my mom back." That's why this matters. Now I want to pause and talk directly to you. Have you or someone you love noticed more mental hiccups lately? Moments of forgetfulness, confusion, or trouble focusing? If so, I'd love for you to share in the comments. Your story might help someone else watching. You're not alone, and your experiences matter. Just type yes if this sounds familiar, or share your story if you feel comfortable. We read the comments. This channel is a community, and healing starts when we speak up and support each other. Now back to the science. Processed meats don't just affect memory, they're also high in saturated fat and sodium, which raise blood pressure, damage cerebral blood vessels, and worsen vascular dementia, a condition where brain damage is caused by impaired blood flow. And remember this, our blood vessels become more fragile with age. The same meat that your body handled in your 30s may now be creating the perfect storm for stroke or cognitive decline in your 70s. But here's the good news. You don't have to give up flavor to protect your brain. Instead of bacon, try avocado on toast with a sprinkle of sea salt. Instead of deli turkey, bake your chicken breast and slice it fresh. Instead of sausage, use beans seasoned with paprika, garlic, and herbs. These swaps might seem small, but over time, they protect the lining of your arteries, restore oxygen to your brain, and help you stay sharp, steady, and independent. Because at this stage in life, every meal should be medicine. Every bite should bring you closer to the future you want. And now we come to the final and most dangerous food of all. It's in your cereal, your snacks, even in healthy yogurts. It's sweet, addictive, and silently shrinking your brain. Let's talk about sugar. Number 5, the sweetest poison, refined sugar. There's a reason we reach for sweets when we're tired, anxious, or low. Sugar gives us a quick burst of pleasure, a moment of comfort. But after 60, that comfort can come at a dangerous cost, especially to your brain. Refined sugar, whether it's in white bread, cookies, sweetened yogurts, or high fructose corn syrup, may be the most powerful accelerant of brain aging we consume daily. And the damage it does? You may not feel it right away, but it's happening. Let me explain. When you eat refined sugar, your blood glucose spikes. That spike causes your pancreas to release insulin, a hormone that helps cells absorb and use sugar for energy. But with repeated spikes, your cells stop responding to insulin efficiently. This condition is called insulin resistance. Now, here's what many people don't realize. Your brain needs insulin too, not just for energy, but to form new memories, regulate mood, and keep neural pathways active. When the brain becomes insulin resistant, it begins to starve, despite all the sugar floating in the bloodstream. It's like being surrounded by food but unable to eat. Scientists now call this condition type 3 diabetes, a form of dementia triggered by sugar overload in the brain. But it doesn't stop there. Refined sugar also feeds harmful bacteria in your gut, which then release chemicals that travel to your brain through the vagus nerve. This gut-brain inflammation has been linked to depression, anxiety, and yes, faster cognitive decline. I treated a woman named Maria. She was 78, loved baking, and always had a sweet tooth. She didn't think her dessert habit mattered. After all, she was slim, active, and sharp. But over time, she noticed changes. Slower recall, mood swings, trouble focusing on conversations. Her brain scans showed early signs of shrinkage in the hippocampus, the memory center. Her labs revealed high insulin and inflammatory markers. But when she drastically reduced refined sugar and switched to fresh berries, cinnamon, and just a square of dark chocolate now and then, her clarity began to return. Her words came faster. Her mood steadied. Maria told me, "I never realized how something so small could make such a big difference." And that's the message I want you to hear. This isn't about giving up joy. It's about choosing sweetness that sustains you, not sweets that slowly steal your future. So read your labels. Replace that sugary snack and with a small bowl of blueberries or a piece of fruit with almond butter. Use cinnamon to enhance flavor without adding sugar. Because every spoonful, every snack, every dessert, it's either feeding your brain or quietly draining it. Now, even if you've eliminated all the 5 of these brain-damaging foods, there's one more threat that can undo everything. And it starts the moment your head hits the pillow. Let's talk about the one habit that ages your brain faster than any food ever could. Number 6, the habit that ages your brain. Skipping sleep. You've probably been told your whole life that sleep is important, but if you're over 60, I want you to understand something deeper. Skipping sleep doesn't just leave you tired, it slowly ages your brain. Many older adults struggle with sleep. Whether it's trouble falling asleep, waking up too early, or feeling unrested even after a full night in bed, poor sleep is incredibly common after 60. But here's what most people don't know. The damage from poor sleep goes far beyond fatigue. It interferes with memory, mood, decision-making, and even increases your risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Let me explain why. During deep sleep, your brain activates a critical system called the glymphatic system. Think of it like your brain's overnight cleaning crew. It flushes out toxins, including beta amyloid, the very same protein that builds up in Alzheimer's disease. This cleaning process only works when you're asleep, and it works best during deep, uninterrupted sleep. If you're consistently missing that deep sleep window, whether because of insomnia, waking up frequently, or only getting 4 to 5 hours a night, your brain isn't getting the time it needs to heal. Sleep is also when your brain stores and consolidates memories. It's when the things you learn during the day are sorted, labeled, and filed away. Without enough rest, your brain can't organize those memories correctly. That's why so many sleep-deprived seniors report increased forgetfulness, word-finding problems, and trouble concentrating. There's more. Sleep deprivation increases cortisol, your stress hormone, which damages the hippocampus, the very center of memory. It also disrupts blood sugar, increases inflammation, and raises the risk of stroke and heart disease, which are both linked to faster cognitive decline. I once worked with a gentleman named Carl, 74 years old. He was mentally sharp, physically fit, and still teaching part-time. But he told me he was feeling foggy in the mornings, losing track of his thoughts, and having more emotional outbursts than usual. When I asked about his sleep, he laughed and said, "I don't sleep much. I figure I'll rest when I'm dead." I gently explained to Carl that the brain doesn't work that way. Without adequate sleep, it begins to misfire. He agreed to make some small changes. He started going to bed at the same time every night, stopped checking his phone after dinner, and switched from coffee in the evening to chamomile tea. Within just a few weeks, he told me, I feel like my brain finally came back online. His memory improved, his mood stabilized, and he had the energy to enjoy life again. Now, I know many of you watching may be struggling with sleep too. It's frustrating. You might lie awake for hours or wake up every hour on the hour. And over time, you may even come to accept it as normal. But it doesn't have to be this way. Here are a few steps you can take today. Keep a consistent bedtime and wake-up time, even on weekends. Avoid screens at night, especially phones and TVs. Try a book, meditation, or soft music instead. Limit caffeine after 2 p.m. It may linger in your system longer than you think. Use magnesium-rich foods or supplements, like leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, or magnesium glycinate. Make your bedroom a sanctuary, cool, quiet, and dark. Remember, sleep is not wasted time, it's healing time. It's the space your brain needs to restore, protect, and preserve everything that makes you who you are. Now, before we wrap up, there's one final and incredibly common brain risk that mimics early Alzheimer's, but is completely reversible once detected. Number 7, the vitamin deficiency no one talks about, lack of B12. If you've ever felt like your mind is in a bum, if you've struggled to find the right word in a conversation or felt your balance getting just a little worse with time, you might assume it's all just part of aging. But what if I told you that in many cases it isn't age at all? It might be a silent deficiency in vitamin B12, a common, often overlooked problem in older adults that can cause symptoms nearly identical to early dementia. Vitamin B12 is crucial for your brain. It helps form myelin, the protective sheath around your nerves, which allows electrical signals to travel efficiently. Without enough B12, those signals slow down. You may feel forgetful, tired, foggy, even off balance or depressed. What makes this especially tricky is that B12 deficiency doesn't always show up right away, and its symptoms are easily mistaken for something else: getting older, being stressed, or having a senior moment. Now here's the critical part. After age 60, your ability to absorb B12 from food begins to decline. And if you're taking medications like metformin for diabetes, or proton pump inhibitors for heartburn or reflux, your risk of B12 deficiency climbs even higher. You could be eating meat, dairy, and eggs, and still not be absorbing what you need. I've seen this countless times. One of my patients, a 72-year-old named Ron, came in deeply worried. He was forgetting appointments, misplacing his keys daily, and felt exhausted all the time. His doctor suspected early-stage cognitive decline, but we checked his B12 levels, and they were dangerously low. After just a few weeks of sublingual B12 supplements, taken under the tongue for better absorption, Ron's energy came back, his clarity returned, and perhaps most powerfully, his confidence began to rebuild. This story isn't rare. It's more common than most realize. If you or someone you love is feeling off, mentally or physically, ask your doctor to check B12 levels. Don't wait until the symptoms get worse. And if your levels are low, or even in the lower normal range, talk to your healthcare provider about supplementing with methylcobalamin, the most active and absorbable form. Sometimes protecting your brain isn't about making dramatic changes. It's about correcting one small imbalance that's been quietly undermining you for years. If this video opened your eyes to what might be silently affecting your memory, your focus, or your future, I want you to know something. It is not too late. Our bodies and our brains are incredibly resilient. They respond to care, to attention, to the small choices we make every day. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. Just start with one thing. Remove one brain-harming food. Check your B12. Go to bed 30 minutes earlier. Walk for 5 minutes outside. These aren't small changes. These are powerful shifts, and they compound over time. I've seen patients in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s make changes and reclaim their clarity, their body, and their independence. It's never too late to protect the mind you've spent a lifetime building. And remember, you're not doing this alone. This community is here with you. I'm here with you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. After watching this video, how are you feeling? Are you planning to make a change? Have you already tried or removing some of these foods or checking your B12? Leave a comment below. Just type yes if you're ready to take action, or share a few words about your journey. Your story could help inspire someone else to start theirs. We read every comment, and this is a space of kindness, support, and healing. And if you're ready to take the next step in protecting your brain and your heart, don't miss our next video. This 40-second trick lowers stroke risk instantly. In it, I'll show you a simple technique backed by research that can instantly improve blood flow, lower your stroke risk, and support long-term brain health. Click the link, watch until the end, and remember, a better brain is just one habit away. Take care of yourself and take care of your mind. Until next time.